there's a lot of connotations here. You know, the big easy, you know, I mean, it sounds lazy, you know, but that's kind of the opposite of what I've been for a long time. But I am got an easy personality maybe at times.
When Sam Snead called someone the greatest swing he ever saw, you knew it meant something. When Fred Couples picks one golfer to play with above everyone else, you pay attention. But here's what's wild. All of them across different generations, different styles, different eras, they all pick the same guy. Ernie Els. Not Tiger, not Jack. Not even close. And the reason why will change how you think about golf forever. Most people think Els swings slow. They watch him and think he's taking it easy. But that's the trick. That's the illusion. His swing looks slow because he's 6'3" with arms that stretch forever. The club has further to travel, so it looks lazy. The time an amateur reaches the top of their backswing, Els has already hit the ball. Slowness isn't real. It's pure efficiency wrapped in a disguise, and the legends know it. Fred Couples sees something in Els that he sees in himself. Rhythm. Not just any rhythm, but a specific kind. And that makes other players swing better just by being near it. Couples has said it 100 times. When he wants to play his best golf, he picks Ernie Els. Not because Els is easy to beat, because Els makes him better. There's this philosophy they both share. Swing easy to hit hard. It sounds simple, but almost no one can do it. In a world where guys are chasing clubhead speed like it's the only thing that matters, Els and Couples found the secret. Soft arms, zero tension. Let the club do the work. Couples has broken down why he loves Els's swing in videos and interviews. He talks about how tight grips kill speed, how tension in your forearms stops the natural release of the wrists. Couples says when he's standing at address, you could walk up and pull the club out of his hands. That's how soft he holds it. And he sees the same thing in Els. They played together in Shell's Wonderful World of Golf. And it was like watching two artists paint the same picture. Couples shot 66, Els shot 69. But the score didn't matter. It was the way they moved. Smooth, calm. They were playing a practice round in their backyard. If you want to hit subscribe and drop a comment, tell me this. Do you think soft arms or strong grip wins in the long run? Because what Couples and Els prove is that less is more. And that's not what modern golf teaches. Couples explained something else too. He said when you play with fast, twitchy players, your tempo speeds up without you noticing. Contagious. But when you play with Els, the opposite happens. Slow down, you smooth out, you enter what Steve Elkington calls tempo town, and once you're there, the game gets easier. Couples has said he'll pick Els and Steve Stricker every time, because you can't beat that pairing for rhythm. But here's where it gets deeper. For Louis Oosthuizen, Ernie Els isn't just a favorite. He's the reason Oosthuizen has a career at all. Growing up in rural South Africa, Oosthuizen had talent, but no money. Golf is expensive. Travel, coaching, tournaments, it all costs a fortune. Without help, he would have been stuck. That's where Els came in. In 1999, Els started the Ernie Els and Fancourt Foundation. It was built to find kids like Oosthuizen, kids with talent who needed a shot. Oosthuizen spent 3 years in that foundation, and he said it flat out. Without Els, he wouldn't be here. The foundation didn't just pay for travel and coaching, it gave him access to Els himself. Oosthuizen remembers Els coming to the range, sitting down with the kids, buying them meals, talking about life on tour. Not as a celebrity, as a mentor, and that bond never broke. Even when Oosthuizen turned pro, and when he started winning. The moment that validated everything happened in 2010. The Open Championship at St. Andrews, Oosthuizen destroyed the field. He won by 7 shots. And Ernie Els, who was playing in the same tournament, couldn't have been prouder. He called Oosthuizen one of the leaders of the junior squads he'd nurtured. He said he was unbelievably proud. For Oosthuizen, winning the Open wasn't just about lifting the claret jug. It was about honoring the man who made it possible. Els had won the same tournament in 2002. Now his protege had done it too. People started comparing their swings, asking who was better. Oosthuizen refused to play that game. Always pointed back to Els. This wasn't a rivalry, it was respect. Pure respect. There's a debate online about who has the better swing, Ernie or Louis. And here's the funny part. Most people say they're basically the same, just 2 different versions of perfection. Oosthuizen is shorter, 5'10" compared to Els's 6'3". So he doesn't have the same massive arc, but he still gets that effortless power, that smooth tempo. When you ask Oosthuizen about it, he always gives credit to Els. He learned the rhythm by watching his hero. He never forgot where it came from. Then there's Steve Elkington, engineer, the technician, the guy who breaks down swings on his show Secret Golf like he's solving a physics problem. And when Elkington talks about Ernie Els, he sounds like he's describing a miracle. Because to Elkington, that's what Els's swing is, biomechanical miracle. Elkington focuses on one thing in particular, flying right elbow. In textbook golf instruction, your right elbow is supposed to stay tucked close to your body, supposed to connect, but Els doesn't do that. At the top of his backswing, his right elbow lifts away from his body, flies. And according to Elkington, that's a feature, not a flaw. It does 3 things. It raises the hands higher, which creates more potential energy, keeps the arc wide so the swing doesn't get cramped. It proves there's no tension, no restriction, it's flow. Elkington also talks about something else, absence of a hit. Most golfers, even pros, try to force speed from the top of the swing. They hit at the ball, but Els doesn't. This generates massive clubhead speed and times it so it peaks right at impact. There's no violent move, no snap, no jerk, just gravity and timing. And Elkington marvels at this because it's so rare. He says Els's swing just wouldn't stop. The follow-through wraps all the way around his body because there's no braking, no resistance. It's pure motion. But Elkington's connection to Els goes deeper than analysis. It goes back to 1993, the U.S. Open at Baltusrol. A young Ernie Els was struggling to make the cut. Back then, there was something called the 10-shot rule. If you were within 10 shots of the lead, you made the cut. Els needed to par the final hole to make the number. Elkington was playing with him, and he watched Els pull it off. One clutch par to survive the weekend. Here's the thing. By making that cut, Els earned enough money and ranking points to qualify for the next year's U.S. Open at Oakmont, which he won in a playoff. It was his first major. And years later, Els came up to Elkington and thanked him. He told him that moment at Baltusrol was the butterfly effect that launched his career. Elkington treasures that story because it shows who Els is, a man who remembers the small moments, people who were there, the steps that led to greatness. Elkington also coined a term for what Els represents, Tempo Town, the zone where rhythm is perfect, where everything flows. Elkington says Els has lived in Tempo Town his entire career. From 1993 to 2016, Elkington compared Els's swing and said his frame and motion look almost identical. Nothing changed. And for a technician like Elkington, had to tinker with his swing because of injuries and allergies, that durability is the ultimate compliment. Els' swing is low maintenance. It doesn't need constant fixes because it's fundamentally sound. It just works. What makes this even more remarkable is that Els maintained this consistency through an era of massive technological change. Equipment evolved, training methods transformed. The entire sport shifted toward power and athleticism. Els never abandoned his core principles. He never started lifting heavy weights to chase distance. Never rebuilt his swing to match the modern trend. He trusted what he had, and that trust paid off for decades. Elkington points out that Els's flexibility and limber body allowed him to keep making a full turn even as he aged. While other players lost mobility and had to compensate, Els just kept swinging the same beautiful arc. That's the definition of timeless. Motion so pure it doesn't need updating. Now let's talk about Rory McIlroy, the modern superstar, guy who grew up in the Tiger Woods era. But here's the twist. When McIlroy was a kid, his hero wasn't just Tiger, it was Ernie Els. And we know this because McIlroy named his first dog Theo. That's Els's real first name, Theodore. Think about that for a second. A kid in Northern Ireland loves a golfer so much that he names his dog after him. That's not casual fandom. That's deep admiration. McIlroy has talked about watching Els at the Dubai Desert Classic in 2006. He got a media credential and walked inside the ropes to follow Tiger and Ernie. He was just a teenager, just an amateur dreaming of going pro. And now, almost 20 years later, McIlroy has won that same tournament multiple times. He even bought Els's house in Dubai. The symbolism isn't lost on anyone. McIlroy followed in his hero's footsteps. Literally. But what does McIlroy love about Els's swing? He summed it up in one perfect sentence. He swings like he's in a rocking chair, but the ball goes like his hair is on fire. That's the magic. McIlroy knows how hard he has to work to generate speed. He snaps his hips. He jumps off the ground. Swing is violent in the best way. But Els gets similar results while looking like he's taking a nap. To McIlroy, that's mesmerizing. It's maximum output for minimum visible effort, and it's something McIlroy openly envies. There was a minor disagreement recently. McIlroy dismissed the Champions Tour and Els defended it. But here's what matters. Els didn't attack McIlroy. He laughed it off. He said he was bulletproof at 35 too. It was a gentle correction from an elder statesman, a mentor reminding a younger star that perspectives change. And that's the beauty of their relationship. Even when they disagree, the respect never fades. Now let's go back in time, way back, to Sam Snead. If you ask golf historians who had the sweetest swing of all time, two names always come up, Sam Snead and Ernie Els. Snead was the king of effortless power in the Persimmon era. Won 82 times on tour with a swing that looked like oil pouring from a jar. And Els is the modern version. The proof that classic fluid motion can survive in the age of titanium drivers and gym-built athletes. Butch Harmon, one of the greatest coaches ever, puts both Snead and Els at the top of his prettiest swings list. And Jack Nicklaus, the greatest champion in history, made the connection even stronger. Nicklaus played with Snead all the time, and he said Snead's grip pressure was so light you could pull the club right out of his hands. Sound familiar? That's the exact same thing Fred Couples says about Els. The same grip, the same softness, same trust in physics over force. Nicklaus also said something else. He said playing with Snead made his own swing better. The rhythm was contagious. It smoothed him out. And Fred Couples says the exact same thing about playing with Els. This creates a lineage, a direct line of rhythm, a chain of sweetness that spans 70 years. And Els is the modern carrier of that tradition, living proof that the old ways still work. But here's the part that makes Els more than just a great swinger. His character. In a sport that can turn people into perfectionists and worriers, Els stayed calm. His peers describe him as a saint, a gentleman's gentleman, a class act. He's one of those rare athletes who's both revered and beloved. Respected for his talent, loved for his personality. He doesn't threaten anyone's ego. He treats fans with warmth. He signs autographs. He talks to Pro-Am partners like they're old friends. And in the locker room, he's known as one of the good guys. But don't confuse calm with soft. Legends know Els had fire underneath. Steve Elkington and others have talked about the switch. How Els could be laughing 1 minute and then executing a ruthless shot the next. How he didn't need to show his effort to get results. Vijay Singh, one of Els's biggest rivals, worked so hard you could see it in his calloused hands and angry range sessions. Els showed his work through wins, through majors, through consistency, and his peers admired that restraint, that quiet power. And then there's his foundation work. When Els's son Ben was diagnosed with autism, Els didn't hide. He built the Els for Autism Foundation, raised millions. He created a center of excellence, and that work transformed how his peers see him. It added depth to his legacy. Rory McIlroy and Gary Player don't just call him a great golfer, they call him a great man. And that distinction matters. It means the admiration isn't just about swing mechanics. It's about humanity. The foundation became more than charity. It became a reflection of who Els is at his core. Generous, patient, committed to something bigger than golf. While other champions focused solely on their tournament schedules and endorsement deals, Els poured energy into helping families navigate autism. He didn't do it quietly either. He used his platform to raise awareness, to remove stigma, to create real change. And the golf community noticed. Peers saw a man who understood that legacy isn't measured only in trophies. It's measured in lives touched, in families helped, given where there was none before. So why do legends love Ernie Els? Because he represents something golf is losing. Smoothness, ease, the idea that you don't have to look like you're trying to hit the ball 400 yards to actually do it. In an era where everyone's chasing speed and violence, Els proved that rhythm still wins, that tempo still matters, that grace still has a place. Fred Couples sees a mirror, partner in the philosophy of soft arms and zero tension. Louis Oosthuizen sees a savior, the man who gave him a future when he had nothing. Steve Elkington sees a puzzle solved, biomechanical wonder who breaks all the rules and still makes it work. Rory McIlroy sees a hero, a man who showed him how to be great without losing yourself. Through the lens of history, through Sam Snead and Jack Nicklaus, we see a lineage, a chain of sweetness that Els carries into the modern game. Els's swing is governed by the 3-to-1 tempo ratio. 3 beats on the backswing, 1 beat on the downswing. It's the golden ratio of ball striking, and Els makes it visible. His wide arc, created by his 6'3" frame, is the illusion of slowness, but it's not slow, it's just long. The club head travels further, so it takes more time. Speed at impact is massive, and the lack of tension means there's no wasted energy. No braking, no fighting the club, pure, efficient power. The flying elbow that Elkington loves, the soft grip that Couples admires, the rhythm that Oosthuizen learned, rocking chair ease that McIlroy envies, and comparison that Nicklaus validated. It all adds up to one thing. Els is the favorite's favorite, the golfer that golfers love. And in a game that's becoming more about force and less about feel, Els stands as a reminder. A reminder that the hardest game in the world can still look easy if you do it right. If you've made it this far, drop a comment and tell me, which swing do you think is the sweetest ever? Snead, Els, or someone else? This debate has been going on for decades, and it's not stopping anytime soon. And while you're at it, share this with someone who loves golf history. Stories like this need to be told. The beauty of Ernie Els isn't just in what he did, it's in how he did it. With class, with rhythm, with grace. And that's why when legends talk about their favorite golfer to watch, to play with, to learn from, they all say the same name. Big Easy. And who made golf look like a walk in the park. The man who proved that in a game obsessed with power, smoothness still reigns supreme.